Alright, I have more or less completed the review of this and what we could do in terms of accomplishing your objectives with this space we have here in our surrounding areas. I've put together enough of the structure to work with. Some of this stuff may be not entirely accurate, but it should be good enough for this review. Now, this is the existing space, some of the dimensions put in, and this is 3-foot path, just making a 3-foot path through here. This is the very start of when I began to design this. This was just allowing a path, a 3-foot wheelchair path, for example. This actually had to be back here a little bit. But there's 352 square feet total, and 132 of that is used up by this space. So I thought it was going to be a real challenge starting in. That's a bed. I don't know if that's the double or the queen. And flip to the other side, a similar pathway. So that's what that much space has to be used or accounted for. Coming in a little closer with this furniture, that's a queen bed. This is about a 30 by 30 type chair here. This dresser's overstretching here, and this gets adjusted outward. This chimney is actually out here a little further. Now that's the queen bed, and there's a double bed. So with the queen bed you still have a 3-foot clearance. That's from here to here through here. In terms of the bath though, as soon as I began I knew we needed to keep, this is the only place to get through here right here, and there was no way we were going to get a bath in this existing space here. So I knew right at the start that some sort of an addition was going to be needed for the bath. And these circles, these are kind of, this bath is kind of modeled because functionally it's got to be something close to the ADA requirements. This is a 5-foot clearance circle here, and this is the 4-foot in front of the toilet with a few other important things to do. So most of these baths are very close to ADA compliant simply because it made sense, or that was what ought to have been done. These numbers down here are the file names, or you can even just reference them if you need to or like to talk about a particular point in this film. This was the first bath I designed. This is the minimum addition. This is your existing house here, like that, and so we needed to add on this little L-shaped space at the minimum. This is how the kitchen set up in this arrangement with the door to this side. And you know that the table goes anywhere along here in a variety of window arrangements depending on what you would like. Now, down here, some other things that happened. This was all this existing windows when I was just beginning. And then these were just some various window and door arrangements in this permutation. There's the twin windows here. Now this is a 4-foot or an 8-foot wide sliding door, so that when that slides, there's easily 3-foot plus through here, and a single window over here. A different arrangement of doors. I think this is what the original indication was, and sometimes I get away from these because probably a person, yes, I would think if this is a 6-foot door you could open a single leaf and get through here. So this could work very well, and these doors could open back. There's only room for a small dresser here. As I said, this dresser gets a little bit shorter this way still because this wall, I assume we're just going to cover that brick chimney to the ceiling. Now the door into the bath, this is the early bath, the first bath. The door into that seems kind of complicated, coming in period at this corner here. Now if a person is going to want furniture at the foot of their bed, TV style, etc., then probably going to have to keep some wall space open across the way. Not that you could not have windows there with furniture in front of them. But if you wanted to put the bed itself against there, same thing applies. You could still have windows come down in front of the bed. It's your choice in terms of future use of the room. But this puts the bed back against there, and we'll explore a variety of windows after that. Up here, this is with the door. This becomes important when we design this wheelchair ramp down to the driveway out front. The door can go on this side of the kitchen or the door can go on this side of the kitchen. And by the way, I did think about or tried to get any kind of a bath situation up here where this small addition was not necessary, and I did not find it to be possible. So yes, in the future I end up designing the ramp over here so that, because we need a little bit more length to turn right and get down to the driveway unless we're halfway down the drive. So it's going to be the door on this side or the door on that side in one way or another. And I'm not sure why I didn't at the time, but further along this kitchen can be expanded all the way down to here. A little closer look at what can or can't happen in the bedroom. This is a queen bed down here shown, and there is the 3-foot clearance through here for the wheelchair path. But flipping that up there, that same queen bed, this chair doesn't have to be here, of course, but if it is, if any kind of chair, and that's just a 30 by 30, which isn't a giant overstuffed chair or anything, that space gets cut with a nightstand on this side. That space gets cut down to about 25 inches, which is too narrow for a wheelchair. Going to a double bed increases it to 33, which is probably adequate, leaving the nightstand on this side. If the skylights are going to stay, we should find out about that. To me, they look like they could be, that they just needed to be re-flashed when the roof is done, but that should be specified in the drawings. And now again with what the door arrangement is going to be down here. I have these stairs located over here. They can go anywhere. I will say right now I don't like this introduction here, and I continue to not like it through some of this film. But an alternative is to use a single leaf door like this, 3 foot wide, so that when it's stood open. In this arrangement though, it is, standing open in front of this door. And back to the kitchen. There's some space in this garage behind here, and if that were captured, you get a little more spacious feel in the kitchen. Right now that's only about 3 feet 3 here, and I show us bumping in there 16 inches. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but you get a feel for how that expands it. And again, this is with the kitchen to the left. In terms of this bath anyway, I'm not sure, and the user can clarify on this, whether this toilet is going to be too far back here, whether we need much better access from the side than what this is showing. This toilet is pulled, you can see how it is. It's pulled forward about 8 inches to allow for this linen cabinet above it. But this is a 5 foot, there's about a 5 foot circle here. So yes, I'm not sure if that works for you, but this is shown in a number of the bathrooms we look at going forward. Backing out though, then, this was the ramp that I made because we needed, this is a 112 slope, which is the minimum slope for a hand propelled wheelchair. You can go a little steeper if it's electric, but you go down and here and about across from this path here to get down to grade. Keep in mind that now this is where that left and right door to the kitchen comes into play. Do you want to come up here and have to come over and in? Now you could put this ramp over here, but you would have to stretch it out further to get it low enough. So that extra 5 or 6 feet is critical here, and you can do plantings here. But think about whether you want this door to jog, and it's going to come into play. Do I want the kitchen on this side or the kitchen on this side? The bathroom door should probably, just because I think this is going to be, well, in this way you come right in, but I'm not sure anyone wants the toilet facing that way on the introduction. So I think the door comes around this way, the door to the bathroom comes around this way. In terms of this bath anyway, I'm not sure, and the user can clarify on this, whether this toilet is going to be too far back here, whether we need much better access from the side than what this is showing. This toilet is pulled, you can see how it is. It's pulled forward 3 or 4 or about 8 inches to allow for this linen cabinet above it. But this is a 5 foot, there's about a 5 foot circle here. So yes, I'm not sure if that works for you, but this is shown in a number of the bathrooms we look at going forward. Backing out though, then, this was the ramp that I made because we needed, this is a 112 slope, which is the minimum slope for a hand propelled wheelchair. You can go a little steeper if it's electric, but you go down and here and about across from this path here to get down to grade. Keep in mind that now this is where that left and right door to the kitchen comes into play. Do you want to come up here and have to come over and in? Now you could put this ramp over here, but you would have to stretch it out further to get it low enough. So that extra 5 or 6 feet is critical here, and you can do plantings here. But think about whether you want this door to jog, and it's going to come into play. Do I want the kitchen on this side or the kitchen on this side? And now again with what the door arrangement is going to be down here. I have these stairs located over here. They can go anywhere. We'll say right now I don't like this introduction here, and I continue to not like it through some of this film. But an alternative is to use a single leaf door like this, 3 foot wide, so that when it stood open. In this arrangement though, it is, standing open in front of this door. Back to the kitchen. There's some space in this garage behind here, and if that were captured, you get a little more spacious feel in the kitchen. Right now that's only about 3 feet 3 here, and I show us bumping in there 16 inches. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but you get a feel for how that expands it. And again, this is with the kitchen to the left. A little closer look at what can or can't happen in the bedroom. This is a queen bed down here shown, and there is the 3 foot clearance through here for the wheelchair path. But flipping that up there, that same queen bed, this chair doesn't have to be here, of course, but if it is, any kind of chair, and that's just a 30 by 30, which isn't a giant overstuffed chair or anything, that space gets cut with a nightstand on this side. That space gets cut down to about 25 inches, which is too narrow for a wheelchair. Going to a double bed increases it to 33, which is probably adequate, leaving the nightstand on this side. If the skylights are going to stay, we should find out about that. To me, they look like they could be, that they just needed to be, re-flashed when the roof is done. But that should be specified in the drawings. I'm moving the bed back down here to look at a few other things. The kitchen, again with the door on the left, or the door on the right, or the door on the left, and whether we can push that into the garage. I show this as a deep closet. It wouldn't have to be that way. You could just have hooks here and have the closet pushed back to a normal 2 foot depth. Now I returned and did some more of this because I wasn't satisfied with the end result. This new deck, I do want to mention that this new deck, the old one is 13 feet from the face of the house, and this is the existing face of the house here, is 13 feet out. The new deck would only be about 8 foot 5 from here out to the railing because of the way I've chosen to align it with here. You can bring it out as far as you like, but I've chosen to keep it a little less big, both from an expense standpoint, a use standpoint, and how it's going to interface with this wall at the left. I don't know if you want or need these stairs down. This is how I've just configured them for now, and I'm showing a wheelchair ramp back here. That's also optional to get to grade. The interface with this wall is a little tough. They're a little complicated, but these stairs can go anywhere along here, or they could be eliminated completely, and that's one of the things I came back here to do. This was that little addition that we absolutely needed, this piece in here. But once that happens, it might make more sense, depending on what you want to do or have for the future or now, to just bring this wall out as well. You wouldn't have to have a foundation across here. That can be just cantilever joists for that 2 foot. But if you do that, then this is the change. You can see it that the bedroom, which is currently, I think the bedroom is currently 9 foot 8, and if we bring it out that extra 2 feet, we end up with 12 foot deep bedroom inside, which makes a much more usable space. In addition, what else happens here is I get rid of these steps down to grade here and just bring that deck all the way across, and the deck is accessed from the yard or from this door, whatever these doors end up setting up across here. You get to the deck that way, and you don't get to grade down here. You would have to go down and around or over this wall if you don't need or want those stairs down to grade anymore. But if you do bring this out, the floor system's not that big a deal. That's just cantilever joists. But you would have to either reframe this roof, or you would have to put a couple LVLs, 12-inch LVLs, across here. So that is the expense involved in picking up that extra 2'8" or 2'4", or whatever it is, on this cantilever. Nevertheless, I thought it was important to show it, depending upon how the expenses line up and budgetary concerns. You may have noticed, however, when we did that, that it orphaned this toilet out here, and so then I had to relook at what was possible in this bathroom, and I was glad to. I wanted to see in the first place because there wasn't a lot of variations we could do when it was like this. So I wanted to see if there was anything better that could be done when it's like this. Keeping in mind that bit I said about access to the toilet, whether it can be back in a blind like this, I couldn't do anything with this except add a deeper cabinet over, bring the toilet forward or leave it forward, and just increase the depth of that cabinet, or I guess a combination of the two. Increasing this cabinet to a 24-inch deep linen style cabinet above that toilet, simply because there wasn't anything else I could find to do with that space when it was added. But I did go further just to see maybe there is something better. This is a rotation. We play with various windows along this wall through this. I'll show you the exteriors here in a minute. This flips. This bath back here is about a 4.5 foot unit, 4'6" unit. Flipping it around this way does accomplish a 60-inch wide unit, which is a more common thing. Not that there's plenty of 54-inch units. But this does accomplish a 60-inch unit, which maybe gives a person a little bit more access. Moves the sink down here, but again we have that discussion of, is this adequate for wheelchair access? Offhand, I think it's not. There's your 5-foot circle for wheelchair turning radius. Maybe that, and again here we go with this extra space behind this, and here I bring it forward and add the 24-inch deep linen toiletry cabinet above it. A little further experimentation with rotating this. This moves this door down on that wall, you noticed. But I don't know if a wheelchair, I didn't measure this. Probably a wheelchair could fit through here. I don't know if it is able to turn like that in there. Okay, so I actually returned to the plan to see about that. And I had a wheelchair model here. This is how I modified that particular plan. We'll look at some other stuff. You can see the number has gone up here. What this does is put the sink here, shifts the door down here as far as it can go with a 36-inch slab, which gives you about 34-inch opening. Notice this opening is 40 inches because we've pushed this wall back. And I'm assuming no matter what happens with this roof, if that sloped bit stays there, things are arranged for there to be an alignment through here. But remember, we got this pushed out where it's 40 inches, and considering this is going to be a fairly busy path, I like that, regardless even whether this wall comes up. But this is how I finished developing out that plan once I saw that it didn't make any sense for a person to try to get to any cabinetry in here, but I was concerned about cabinetry in this bath. You could have open shelves over this toilet. I've put a little 15-inch wide cabinet in here, that could have roll trays, depending, and then I've put a 21-inch deep cabinet, like a pantry cabinet, fronting into the kitchen. If this needed to be wider, that could happen too. I don't think that that'd be a problem, and then this one becomes less deep. But returning to the program, that's where I went with it at that point. I then abandoned it and looked at a couple different things with these doors again in the bedroom, and that's something that you guys would have to solve on your own, regardless of whether that wall comes stays in there or comes out that 2 feet. The final, and this is another thing that I returned to, where because the zoning code, we can't build a foundation structure out here, but I looked at the zoning code and they do allow projections into this side yard of up to 2'0" of things like bay windows, chimneys, etc. So I went ahead and did what I could with the maximizing that, just so that you would be able to make a call on it, whether that's something that's worth it to expand the kitchen footprint. And again, this is the framing just cantilevers over their little wall that needs to be built here because this new floor is framed up. So on this big expanded plan, this is the final one I think, these floor joists are cantilevered over here. This is new foundational structure in through here, and these are cantilevered out here. And this is just a couple different tables in there, and I didn't develop that bay window at all except to note that it could be done, or show you that it could be done. It probably should be noted, I didn't say it at the time, but recall the earlier plan, we had an addition right here. It'd probably be possible without too much headache to just make the expansion here. Comes out over that wall some, but that can all be taken care of, and then not expand this and deal with reframing this roof and putting that beam in. So I did want to just stop back and mention that. And that's just if you like this sort of bathroom plan, but don't want to get into the expense of this. Keep in mind though that if this wall comes back, that chair does not go there, although there's plenty of room back in this whole corner for it. Down at the bedroom, there's the double bed, there's the queen, and that's a set, that's a, with the mattress and a frame approximately. And now I'll cover this. This is on the earlier plans that had the shower back here, and I was showing a glass block window up there, and whether that happens or not, I wanted to show you that this part has to happen. There has to be some sort of, and I'm showing this whole room, this whole shower room lowered to about 7 feet, but it doesn't even need to be that low. We just need something to hold this end of the truss here at a certain height for insulation. So this can probably come up another 3 or 4 inches even. And this was also to demonstrate the height of this window, glass block window in the shower. I have one and I like it, so I try to promote them. This is a 5'6" woman, a 6'6" man, and this is the window. So that just gives you an idea if you have to think about whether or not you want to eliminate that or keep it. Look beyond though, there is the sloped ceiling that's currently in there. And I don't know if that's part of something that they've done. Maybe I have a forward shot here. I don't know if it's part of something that they've done with some trusses. I haven't climbed up there, and I probably should have. But if they have trimmed these trusses back, and that's some sort of a strut to support that, the remaining top cord, although these look thick, like 2x6s at least, that needs to be investigated. But if that piece needs to stay, and if this roof is not reframed, this is kept as low cost as possible, there is going to be a place here where you come around that corner from the kitchen into the bedroom, where that ceiling starts about 6'4", because we've raised that floor up so much. So I wanted to cover that ground. And it's not going to be a code issue, and it's not going to be a problem for anybody unless they're like almost 7 foot tall, or they would have to be hugging the corner of that wall coming around to make that a problem. Otherwise, I've just assumed if that stays in place, that's just drywalled. But moving this section back into the bathroom, this is what I was talking about on the south side of that wall that faces in toward the yard. That ceiling has to be thick enough to accommodate 9 inches of insulation. So either that roof is framed in regular lumber, or special trusses that are top cord bearing, and you have a slope at that rear part, or you just build this down. There's a beam that has to go. If you don't do the top cord bearing trusses, there is a beam that has to go in here. It's probably going to be 7 or 8 inches high anyway, maybe 9. So the alternative is to build a soffit across here and up, or lower the entire bathroom ceiling. And so I just wanted to make sure that was understood. This kitchen, you should probably, depending on what you do, this whole thing, if this kitchen happens, you should specify if these are to be accessible type cabinetry, where I've lowered the sink to 33, but if this is going to be more accessible, then this needs to be accounted for in the design. But just to make clear, if you do that little 2-foot expansion, there's an existing foundation wall here. It's not shown here, but it's an existing foundation wall here, and that has some sort of a little 9-inch wall, or just even a vertical member. The floor joists are cantilevered over that, and that means this here, you either add on to the ceiling and the roof here and put a beam in to carry that, or you remove all of this end of this roof from at least here back and reframe that in 2x6s, or 2x10s rather. I know there's been a lot of information that's been rather haphazardly shown. The window is shown so you can make a determination of how large you want that and whether you want it to exist as it's shown on the plan. Now these exteriors, this is just going to be from the 3 angles, and each of those is just a progression through these various experimentations that I was making. This was the existing plan. This, now you don't absolutely need, and there's no code requirement for a railing on this, but probably you would have it. And again, this is where you see that situation with the door, whether you want to have the wheelchair come up and have to jog over, or whether you want to go straight in, which is what's shown here. Those railings do not have to be this over the top. These can be as simple as just pipe railings, just to keep somebody from accidentally coming off this edge. And the ramp is shown as wide as it is here simply because of the way I divided this, and I wanted good access at that top. Somebody's got to frame it anyway. I think I'm showing a 48 here. That, even with the railings, that could be reduced to perhaps 6 or 7 inches in width. And this was that final push where we projected out and took advantage of that 2-foot extra that they give you if you obey window projection. From the back there's a few more developments from this angle, because there's more to see and there's more I horsed around with on it. But that was the existing, more or less. And when I resized this deck, remember I told you it was 13 feet here, I resized that to almost 6.5 feet, which is a pretty substantial cutback. You could still bring it out as far as you like, and I can specify that on the plans and show the necessary work for it. But I just aligned it so that it was less of a deck, and that's something you have to answer, whether you want more of a deck. But for the moment, I just did it so that I could have some alignment with this wall here. This is that minimal addition required to accommodate a bath, as near as I could tell. In any event, this is that minimal addition, and this is kind of a minimal glass across here. The stairs are on this end. I did not take the time to show, when I show you later where this runs across and there's no stairs. Those stairs can occur anywhere along here, just let me know. But this was really just messing with these windows, or this facade with these windows here. And you'll have to think back to the floor plans to see where that's significant. Obviously the bed is not in front of this door, but across the room. These are just lights in those windows. As I said, it's just messing around with some of these floor plans and the window arrangements. I think I might have shown one where the bed is under windows like this, or where all 3 of these windows in the bathroom, maybe that was frosted, but the 2 in the bedroom are up. Everything's up high like this. I'm not sure that would be desirable, but it was shown. Oh, and this was a bay window where the inside of the bay, the ceiling of the bay window is as high as the ceiling of the room. I thought that was a bit much out here, which is why I didn't even show it that way from the other angle. And so I think that ceiling inside the bay would be lower if you did this, at least just from how it looks out here. And the final angle from this, or from this more or less, that was the minimum projection, the minimum kind of deck. And this is how best I integrated this here. I think I said that this can be stairs, railing, or whatever you would like on that end. I don't like the door there at all, just because if I put the door there, I'd like to see the stairs go over here or something. And then there's the final where that wall comes out that 2 feet, and the deck changes like that. I think that's it. I got carried away, hopefully not too far. At least this gives you a full review, and maybe we can talk at some point about what you think is the way to go. Thanks.